what I'm going to present is the influenza and COVID-19 PowerPoint that Panna set up for us. She did this earlier in September, and we just haven't had a staff meeting with everything that's going on, so I apologize for that. Some of the content is not current, but I'm going to just go through it quickly. And like I said, you'll need to go on to Bamboo and take the quiz. The PowerPoint will be available for you, so I'm not going to waste the time for us to do the quiz together on here, just because I want to get this done and get everybody out so they can enjoy the holiday weekend. So I'm going to go ahead and jump in here. See, there we go. So, just basically, Panna wanted to give us an update on the flu and COVID-19. It's going to be an interesting year. There are some differences between the two that everybody needs to be aware of. And we want to make sure that we can prevent both. Historically, we're always trying to prevent flus and colds, and now with COVID out there too, we want to be really careful and make sure that we're preventing everything. On this slide, I think the key for me, and I think it's less of a challenge this year, but if you're sick, you need to stay home. People have sick time. I know everybody feels like you need to come to work and be there, and you feel bad if you're not, but with everything that's going on, it's really, really important this year, more so than ever, that if you are sick, that you let us know as soon as you can possibly let us know, and that you stay home when you're sick. There are a bunch of different vaccines for the flu this year. I don't know which one of these that we ended up with, and if somebody is really curious about which one, I'm sure we can find out, and I'll let you know. But it seems like this year, more than any year, taking the flu vaccine is important. Alameda County requires it, and if you aren't taking the flu vaccine this year, one of the mandates from Alameda County is you have to have a note from your physician that supplies an actual medical reason not to have it. You can't just decline it and wear a mask. We're all wearing masks this year, and to not get the flu vaccine, you have to actually have a medical reason to justify that. So I know we're working on figuring that all out. That was new information just a couple of weeks ago. So, over the next couple of weeks, we'll get it all figured out. The demographic information, I know Panna is great at getting all the information, and keep in mind this is from September, is that there were 24,000 to 62,000 flu deaths for 2019 to 2020. Obviously that's going to go up. There were 166 children deaths during that time period. Sorry, there's a little delay when I switch the slides here, so I'm trying not to skip a slide. Here we go. These are the demographics as of September 7th for COVID. I know the numbers have gone up, and in the recent days, they've gone up significantly. So, I think everybody's aware of that. I didn't update it for today, but the number of deaths in the U.S. is over 200,000, and I don't know the exact number, but like I said, the numbers keep going up, and recently they're going up significantly. So when you're looking at the cold and flu symptoms, I think we're all aware of all the different symptoms. The primary difference that I would say I've personally experienced is the extreme fatigue when you have the flu cough, the chills, the sweats, nausea and loss of appetite. So, just be aware if you do get sick of the symptoms that you're having, and, make sure that you're doing what you need to do to get better. And, obviously this year with COVID, it's not the same because you have another virus that's out there that's significantly different than what we've talked about in the past. The two viruses are different. I am not a microbiologist to understand all of this, but the two viruses are significantly different. So, I think we see that in the news, and everybody's aware that there are significant differences. So, common symptoms between the two viruses are fever and chills, cough, shortness of breath or difficulty breathing, fatigue, sore throat, runny nose, muscle pain and body aches, headaches, and some people have nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea, though that's more common in children than adults. So, those symptoms are common between COVID-19 and the flu. Sorry, I'm once again waiting for the delay between the two. That's the common symptoms. Okay, now we're looking at the spread. And, I think there is still some discussion about how it really is spread. We're doing social distancing because it can be spread through the air. People in close contact, within 6 feet for both COVID and the flu tend to get infected. It's through respiratory droplets produced by the infected person that coughs or sneezes. The droplets can land in the mouth and nose and eyes. Hopefully everybody's wearing masks so that, we're reducing the risk and eye protection. One of the significant differences is that COVID-19 is spread by people who are not showing symptoms. So, typically when you're talking about the flu, most of the time when it's being spread, it's spread by people who are symptomatic versus people that are asymptomatic. The difference of symptoms between COVID-19 and the flu is with COVID-19, you have a loss of taste. On a personal note, both my parents ended up getting COVID from their accountant. So, you need to be careful. Even if you're around people you know and trust, it's still possible to get the virus. And the biggest complaint from my parents is the loss of taste. So, that is a serious thing. Also the loss of smell. And one of the other things with COVID that is different is the period of time that you can transmit it to other people is much longer. It's 2 to 14 days versus 1 to 4 days. So, somebody who does have COVID, you need to be really, really careful when you're around them because the amount of time that they can transmit the disease is much longer. As we talked about already, you need to get the flu vaccine. If you're working in healthcare in Alameda, it's mandatory. All of the other things are the standard things that we talked about. Cover your nose and your mouth when you cough. Everybody's wearing masks, so that's not as big an issue. Wash your hands often. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Avoid direct contact with flu or flu-like symptoms. Stay home if you're sick. Disinfect surfaces. we're doing all of these things, and like I said, this year it's more important than ever. With the flu shot, it's the same thing. Everybody pretty much gets it every year. You have some soreness, some redness, some swelling where you get the shot. You can get a low-grade fever and have body aches with the flu shot. So I know we've been working on getting everybody the flu shot at WASC. I'm not sure that everybody's received it yet. And after I'm done with this, I'll ask Gary and Narendra to chime in and let me know where we're at on that. I know we're working our way through it. The mask rule in Alameda County is, not the same anymore. That's not sufficient this year. You have to have a flu shot or a note from your physician. There is a vaccine coming. I have not done any work on ordering a vaccine. I have had some exchanges with PANA about potentially ordering the vaccine. So we'll see what's available to us in the health system. And, as soon as something's available that makes sense and the health system wants to get us on board with it, I'll make sure that WASC has that available to our employees also. This is something PANA showed us in the past, in a work setting and in public now. I think everybody's expected to be wearing a mask, so it's not completely pertinent to us anymore. But, once we get past this and we're not wearing masks anymore, it will apply again. So I think, it's worthwhile to review that. This is the sources that PANA cited, and that is the end of the presentation. Like I said, I'm not going to go through the quiz because I just don't want to take people's time. I want to get us in and out of here as fast as possible. But everyone should have the quiz and the PowerPoint on their Bamboo, so you should be able to do that. If you have any questions about the quizzes or about the content, feel free to contact me or Marcia, next week after the holiday.
All right, guys. So today I'll be presenting on emergency and disaster preparedness. The purpose of this presentation is to provide everyone with tools and information on how to respond to emergencies and disasters. This is part one of a two-part presentation. We'll be doing the second half in December. There we go. There you go. Okay. So first, I'd like to start by reviewing 5 steps that WASC has implemented for creating an emergency preparedness plan. So step 1 here is to know your risk. By using a risk matrix such as the one you see on the screen here, we are able to assess how significant our risk is for any one emergency. Step 2 is to build a team. Our team consists of a safety committee, which is responsible for keeping our emergency and disaster response plans and training up to date. However, I did want to remind everyone that although we do have a safety committee that's dedicated to doing this, this is a team effort, so everyone's feedback is always welcome. I'd like to encourage anyone who has feedback to let us know. Step 3 is to make critical information quickly accessible. So WASC has created the wasc.info website, which has made information more easily accessible than ever before. So in addition to the online resource, we still keep the red disaster preparedness binders at each department. So if you need to find information on emergency preparedness, it's accessible both on the website and in the red binders. I'm not sure if NAPA has those regulators? Trevin, do you know? Okay, great. Awesome.
That's just that they, back in the day, Candace said they had red lights.
Oh, okay, great. Okay, step 4 is to update your alert and response procedures. So currently WASC utilizes traditional sirens and flashing lights to alert everyone of an emergency, but keeping our response procedures up to date is extremely important, especially as technology evolves. And again, anyone who ever has a suggestion, please let us know. And lastly, step 5 is to test your plan. So by running various drills and scenarios and evaluating them, we are putting our plans to the test. So today we're going to cover fire, earthquake, and power outage. There will be a short quiz that's a bit, I think it's already on Bamboo, for these 3 topics that you can go in and do later today or whenever, not today. Okay, so first on the list is fire, also known as code red. In the event of a fire, we'll want to RACE. So here we'll review what the RACE acronym stands for. So RACE is an acronym we teach everyone to supply them with tools to help them remember what their duties are in the event of a fire. So to break it down, R stands for rescue. We'll want to remove patients and any personnel from any immediate danger. A is to alert or alarm. So activate the fire alarm and notify the front desk of the location of the fire. C is to contain. We want to contain the fire and smoke by closing all doors leading into and surrounding the fire area. But it's important to remember, do not lock those doors. And finally, E is to extinguish or evacuate. Extinguish the fire if it is safe to do so, otherwise evacuate. It's important to keep in mind that we want to shut off medical gases and use portable tanks for any of those patients that may be in need. No surgeries will be allowed to begin until the fire department has issued an all clear, and we'll want to terminate any surgeries in progress as soon as they are deemed safe to do so. Okay, so here we have a quick fire scenario for everybody. And again, you'll have an opportunity to answer or respond to this scenario in Bamboo. So it's around lunchtime, you walk into the break room and you see smoke and flames coming from the toaster. How do you respond? So, we'll give you an opportunity to answer to that through Bamboo. Okay, so next on our list, we have earthquake. All right, so during the quake, we'll want to stay calm and immediately move to safety by getting under a strong table, desk, or against an inner wall or a corner. We'll want to place protective covers over any bedridden patients, stay indoors and away from potential hazards. These may include things such as glass doors, windows, heavy freestanding objects, any fixtures. If you happen to be outdoors, you want to move away from any power lines, poles, trees, tall buildings, parking structures, or essentially anything that could naturally fall over you. When the earthquake stops, we want to immediately check for injuries and provide first aid as needed. And if it's necessary, remove the injured or those in dangerous areas. Next step is to make a check of the center. So when we do this, we're looking for any fires, doors that do not open, weakened walls, ceilings, broken glass, spilled liquids, electrical hazards, and any gas or water leaks. We will then designate someone to shut off gas, oxygen, and electrical supplies. Other things to consider: if you must leave the building after an earthquake stops, please use the stairs, not the elevator. Also remember, if you do evacuate, we'll want to ideally exit at the north side of the building. That applies to us here in Fremont, which is at the Stiver Street side. And remember to bring emergency bags and to do a roll call as well. Trevin, do you know for Napa, ideally where their gathering point is, if they have to evacuate?
Yeah, so in front of the building, there's a parking lot that's pretty large that goes out to the street. So our meeting place in Napa would be to exit the building and go out to the street. So the parking lot is much longer than what our parking lot is. So once you get out to the street, you're a significant ways away from the building.
Okay, great. All right, so another quick scenario for you guys here. It would be during shift, a 6.0 earthquake occurs in the operating room. There is still one patient having laparoscopic surgery. There are 2 cataract patients recovering in the discharge area. What are the appropriate measures and actions to take in this scenario? Again, you'll have a chance to respond to that on Bamboo, but I did want to mention real quick that on October 8th, we had an earthquake evacuation drill. Overall, it was a really successful drill. We were able to get participants from most of the departments, but based on what we observed, we were prepared in the sense that most departments remembered to bring their disaster bags, and they're scheduled to do a roll call. One thing that did come up was the fact that some people didn't know where to find the disaster bags. So here at WASC, I know Amy was nice enough to print out some signs. She put them up in every department, just stating where all of the bags are. So if there's anyone who doesn't know where to find a disaster bag, you can ask your manager, ask your department manager, and they can orient you to where that is.
Can we do like a small quiz on Bamboo that goes to everyone that is specific to their department, answering where their disaster bag is, so we can just document that everybody, took the time to look and figure out where it is in their department?
Sure. Absolutely. Okay. All right. And so I figured it'd be good to jump into our next topic, which is the power outage. So earthquakes can lead to power outages. However, there are other things that can cause it, such as storms, high power demands, and even a vehicle collision into a utility pole. So if a power outage occurs, this is what we want to do. We'll want to determine the amount of time the outage is expected to last and whether the power company is taking any action to restore power. We'll want to check if the backup generator is working and supplying power, and if it is, ask yourself if critical areas of the ASC are receiving power. We're talking anesthesia machines, monitoring equipment, things of that nature. And let's see here, determine if withdrawal of services is necessary. If so, we'll want to call any patients who are expecting to come in and let them know that their surgery has to be canceled and why. And lastly, determine if transfer is necessary. If it is, we'll want to transfer them to the nearest local emergency department. In our case, that would be Washington Hospital Emergency. We'll transfer them there. Napa, do you know what the nearest one is out there?
Yeah, it's Queen of the Valley. It's literally a stone's throw away. So there's an emergency department right there.
Okay, cool. All right, and I had scenarios for each one of these here. But again, just to kind of save time, we'll just answer all of these on Bamboo. There are 3 procedures going on in the OR. A car hits a utility pole outside of the center. What causes a power outage? That causes a power outage. The generator has been activated, so how do you respond? And in Bamboo, I kind of made it more specific to how do you respond based on what department or where you are in the building. obviously different departments will be affected differently, but the questions are on there. If you have any questions, you can just let me know. And that's pretty much it. That sums it up, guys.
Yeah, make sure it's, yeah.
For
All
power.
right.
Yeah. Oh,
Like the car hits, like say it would hit the back end of the building, we'd have to.
well, yeah. Oh, okay.
All right. So
Go ahead.
I don't keep anybody longer than necessary. I'd like to open the floor up and see if anybody has any specific questions that they'd like to address to the group. If not, I thank folks for taking the time on the evening before Thanksgiving to do this. You know, it's always, it's been a challenge with COVID for us to get together and have meetings. So, you know, I appreciate that. So let me know if there's any questions here.